Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. We have a very exciting and very important webinar today discussing the marketing of telehealth, of TelePT. And I will tell you how important is this. So once this whole situation happened with coronavirus, people jumped into telehealth, jumped into TelePT, and many of us did convert quite a few people, depending on the practice, on telehealth. As a matter of fact, at a later point during this presentation, I will show you some actual statistical data that we have obtained from practices from across the country in a survey that we did. And I will show you some of the challenges that people are reporting, but also how physical therapists are implementing telehealth right now. However, what are you going to do with telehealth if, yes, you convert a bunch of your patients right now, but you end up discharging them? If you don't get new blood in the practice, then the practice ceases to exist. So the question then is how we get new patients in the practice. My business partner, Costas, and myself, we have been working with the three organizations out of which representatives we called to be part of this forum today, part of this presentation. And all of these three guests that we have today, they are guiding us step by step on how to achieve what we are achieving in a daily basis. And I'll tell you, although I won't say that I love our statistics right now, but I'll tell you that in a practice, for example, in our main location, out of where we see traditionally 500 patients a week, right now we are seeing about 150, 160 patients, and 40% of them are already converted to telehealth. And yes, we do see new patients. We have scheduled, we have booked new patients for next week and the week after. But this did not happen as an accident. We had to do things to get to that. So we have with us today Tim Mantis from Survival Strategies, Neil Trickett from Practice Promotions, and Carl Mattiola from Breakthrough and the Chad Madden and Carl group. Okay, the Product X group. Fantastic. So guys, I want to start first with Tim so that he can give us an idea how we can use traditional type of relationship marketing to really get our telehealth business up and running and getting new patients. So welcome, Tim. So go ahead.
Okay, great. And Dimi, can I show a few slides?
Yes, you can. You press the green button.
Okay, great. Okay, guys, so my name's Tim Mantis, and I work at a company called Survival Strategies. We're over in Los Angeles. And we're a training and consulting company. So we give advice, we give ideas and that sort of thing, but really we try to zero it down to training. And what I mean by that is finding something that you're weak in, figuring out a way that we could actually educate you in some key things, and then a plan that you can follow that will actually make sense. You'll do it because you see eye to eye with it and it'll get a good result. So we've been doing this for the last 32 years. I've been there 25 years, been in hundreds and hundreds of clinics across the country. Dimi is one of them. Dimi and I met, 24 years ago. So we've been doing this for a real long time. And I'm gonna show you a couple slides from something that has to do with relationship development. And what I mean by that is professional referral relationship development. This is not sales. This is something we found out, a lot of therapists could actually do, and away we go. So I'm going to share you a few things from my screen here. let's see. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, this is actually, I'm just going to spend a second on this. So you see this image, and immediately that should communicate something to you guys. I hope, I don't know if it will, but I hope it shows you that this guy is standing above everybody else. And that's a key principle when we talk about public relations and marketing. You want to stand out as either the first or the best, or preferably both. And these are age-old principles of marketing and public relations. So how do you do that? How do you differentiate yourself out from the rest of the gang? And that's huge. This goes hand in hand with the subject of relationship development. So I'm gonna back out of that for a second and show you this other thing. Okay, so I'm gonna skip over some of these just to show you some of the ideas, the main principles, and we'll talk about how they might apply. So this all comes from a book. It's called The Keys to Private Practice Success. And it's a bestseller. We've had it out for years, but we've updated it over time. And this is, we recognize the keys, 3 things, and that's promotion, which is PR and marketing, advertising, anything you're doing that you're paying for sure, Google ads, Facebook ads, any of that stuff, as well as organization. That's the other key. Organization, hiring, firing, having a plan right now, figuring out what's the new plan, all that sort of stuff. And then C is cash flow. So it's anything to do with money. Right now, everybody's, applying for all the emergency assistance. That's fantastic. But otherwise, what's going on in your organization? So it's based on the works of this guy, Ron Hubbard. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. Very controversial guy, but a real character, very well read and very prolific writer. Wrote an encyclopedia on the subject of management. We use a really small amount of this, but you'll see some of these key ideas that I'm going to share with you today. So it says here, okay, it's not man's dreams that fail him, it's the know-how that fails him. So you got to know how to do this. We can talk about theory. You need to get into actual steps of what will we do tomorrow. So when we look at this, okay, there's a couple different ways you can approach traditional marketing: sales approach, effective PR and marketing, and relationship development. And just because we're big on definitions, I'm just going to give you some definitions that we've read, that we've seen in times that have worked well. Public relations is making good works well known, well thought of. So you could be the best clinic out there, but if you're not getting that message somehow to your public, they may not think that. They may think, they had an okay experience, or I don't know, somebody in billing maybe upset them or annoyed them or whatever, and that affects your PR, your reputation, what people actually think. Marketing it's just getting more people to buy your stuff. Everything, funnels to that. Relationship development, that's something a lot of people try to do, and some are good at it naturally. I wasn't, that's for sure. But I tried a lot of these techniques. I actually went into doctors' offices with my clients and some of their staff and fumbled around with it myself just to see if I could make this work. I'm not a therapist and I don't own a clinic. And it actually worked. So I kind of put it to the test myself. That was about 25 years ago. So the positive part of relationship development, it's something that other people have used, and specifically drug salespeople, drug reps, medical supply, your competitors, people have knocked on doors. Right now, you might not be able to knock on doors. And yet I have clients that have knocked on doors in the last week and 2 weeks. And some of the physicians are completely happy to see them. They're like bowled over. It says, works well if you're a salesman. We're not all salesmen. We're not all good at it. Works well if the doctor's interested. So if you talk to them at a time that they're open to it, you may hit a home run. Right now might be that time. Negative, 180-degree reverse of what most clinicians are really comfortable with. A lot of doctors don't like it. In other words, they don't like to be talked at or sold things. Their office might not like you hovering around. You might not like it. You may get locked out. You may have done some things that, people just were, mentally they rejected you. You came in, you said hello, you dropped some things off, and they said, okay, that's the last time you'll be in here getting anywhere. and you may pop by, but they're not necessarily going to be all that helpful. So if you do it right, you can actually help to brand yourself, and you can make yourself known. You're trying to, again, stand out from the rest. I don't want to go there and do what everybody else does. Now, all this is converted to the times that we're facing right now. So it's get on the phone. I have clients that do FaceTime. They'll do Zoom calls. They'll, whatever platform they're comfortable with, they'll call an office and they'll talk to, some of them have actually had doctor meetings just like we're meeting right now, just one-on-one. They have an agenda, they have something they want to talk about, and you're differentiating yourself out from others because everybody's not doing this. And same thing goes with the front desk. So, some of these offices are open, they're handling people on a much different kind of a protocol. People are allowed in one at a time or whatever the case is. They're not as busy as they were when the waiting room was full of 15, 20 people, and you're trying to stand in line at the front desk and get your foot in the door. So how do we go about doing this? Well, let me just get to a couple different points. One thing is, when we look at how and why are we doing this, there is a motivation behind our efforts. If I go in there and I'm simply looking for referrals, which is the bottom line, I mean, that is what we're doing. I'm really operating on this, the lowest level or the second to lowest level. I'm trying to do something for myself. It's personal gain, and or I'm motivated because I need a couple new patients and I got to convert them over to telehealth, and et cetera, et cetera. Personal conviction and duty, that's a completely different situation. So when I market myself, whether it's in person or whether it's over the phone, email, text, whatever the case is, I'm trying to stay in that higher band. And you guys are awesome. You do a great job with a vast majority of your patients. So we know that you have great motivation, but when we market, we get nervous, we start talking too much, we kind of benefit sell. We say everything that's great about what we do and our practice and all our years of experience. And that may sound great and it may work for some people. And if it does, I wouldn't change that for the world. But you might want to go in a different direction if you've tried some of that and it just didn't result in more new patients. So, but we're interested in the top two. What this means is I got to be in there, and I got to be more interested than interesting. Interesting is talking about yourself. Interested is you're going in there and you're kind of finding out what's going on. So in the last month, we've been hosting these roundtables every week, a Monday and Thursday. They're free. You come, you just network with other owners. It's awesome. But we've had successes from what people are doing right now in contacting their patients and converting them to telehealth, and in contacting the front desk of the referral sources that we work with or would like to work with. And yes, in some cases, actual visits, what we call referral source visits. A doctor, could be a PA, could be a nurse, could be anybody. Who in that office is actually dealing with this? We don't know. That's the important point. We got to find out. We may think we're talking to the right person. We may be completely off base. So Demi knows. Demi and Costa's tried this in New York City, of all places. And trust me, it's tough in a big city like that. So it doesn't mean it can't work. It just means we have to be persistent and we have to be good at it. There's other skills that certain people bring to the table, like they're an ambassador. They have qualities that could make them a great politician or a great PR person. And I say that in a very admiring fashion, because good PR people are liked. A lot of people know them. They have great connections, and they are liked, sincerely. They're not snakes in the grass. These are not political, spin doctors and all that sort of thing. That gives public relations a bad name. These guys are actually very truthful, and they're helping their clients put their best foot forward because they can connect them with a lot of people that they need to be connected with. So this is key. This is a really important thing. It looks really simple. This is actually the definition of the word ability. And we know people that are able, they can really demonstrate their skill or whatever their sport is, their acumen in business, their acumen as a marketer, specifically in relationship building. I got to be able to observe, make decisions, and then act. If I go in and talk first, or if I give a spiel, or here's here's my great, advertising piece. Look how great I am. It's 4-color glossy promo. Doesn't necessarily get the result that you want. So we go in the opposite direction. We say, what you were doing there, if you were talking too much, is you're doing the third thing, to act. So you're like, I'm trying my best here. It's a tough situation for everybody. Let me get my word out while I have time. We go in the other direction. We go, no, you got to observe. And when we say observe, we actually mean you got to ask questions. You got to find out. You got to be interested. The other guys on the line, everybody here that's on the panel knows the value of surveying. Like, let's find out what the intended audience would actually like. But I can't assume that. I can't presume that that applies to everybody. I got to be willing to do a survey of sorts. And what I'm talking about here is literally starting a conversation, talking to people at the front desk, talking to the physician and or PAs or nurses, talking to, maybe they have a referral coordinator or clerk, somebody that, barely got through high school, but they were, charged with, delineating who gets what referrals. And it may be because a good friend of his or hers works over at another office, or it may be some other reason. So again, we got to observe. We got to figure out, what am I doing? Why am I saying this to this particular office? I have to have a strategy in place that makes all this sense. And then I obviously got to pull the trigger. So I got to decide, can't stay on the fence, not doing anything or whatever. I got to pull the trigger and move forward. So if you look at this as a therapist, it's very similar to the development of a SOAP format, where you're finding out subjectively, objectively, what's going on with that patient. Then you're mapping out a treatment plan. And, a lot of patients, they want to get out of pain. So you're probably going to treat them on the first visit. If not, they have enough confidence to come back and, get results. I can tell you this, from my perspective as a lay person, if somebody's doing teletherapy with me and I'm not seeing much happening, I'm not sticking around. So I can't help but stress that, if this is new to everybody, like it is to a lot of the folks I've been talking to, you got to really brush up on certain skills, certain things that you can in fact get a good result with, and you can do it long distance, because that is what telehealth is. So those are some things. The concept of building rapport. A lot of people think I have to get down to brass tacks. In other words, I gotta say why I'm there, give my 2 cents, because everybody's in a rush, and heaven knows I don't want to bother anybody. It can't be further from the truth. That's gonna fit certain people, and they'll be annoyed if you try to do something else. But this is what works with most people. So it says these 3 factors of the utmost importance: affinity, reality, communication. These are just different things, and they relate to each other, and that's why you see a triangle there. It says they're dependent on each other. So affinity, literally, it's just how much you like or dislike something, how close you can get to something, or how far away you have to stay. People we don't like, we generally don't associate with. We don't want to warm up to them, that sort of thing. Things that we do like, we find we partake in. We spend time with them, we're conversant with them, we're tolerant of them. That's that point. Reality, it's just what people agree on. We know there's physical constraints right now. COVID-19 is real to everybody, because it's all you hear on the news, and it's everybody talking about it. And we go, wow, this is really real. It's not whether I think it's a hoax or not. It has nothing to do with anything. It's real. So there's reality in the physical things of life. This camera that I'm speaking into, my laptop, my desk that I'm sitting at. These obviously are very real. But the things in the mental plane, what we think or believe or ideas that we have, these are also real. They may be more real to me than they are to, say, Demi or Neil. And that's fine. But they're valid. They're important to people. Communication, simply stated, giving and receiving ideas. So if it's just me broadcasting my message constantly, that's one way. That's not really a conversation, not when another live person is present. So it has to be that give and take. And if you find you review a conversation you just had, if it's not balanced, if it's not 50-50, you got some work to do. That means you can't be talking all the time. I'm presenting because I'm just trying to get you some tools. How does this apply to specifically where we are right now? I got to be willing to be interested in the people that I'm talking to. or that I'm Zooming with or FaceTiming with or whatever, and go, hey, Bob, how's it going out there? How are you guys surviving? What about your staff? Did you have to let anybody go? What's happening over here? You know, just genuine concern over their, you know what you're going through and your staff. Great. So talk to your patients in the same fashion. Referral sources, front desk people, we call them gatekeepers, right? These are the people that sort of determine my ability to actually have a relationship with that office. I got to know some of this stuff. If I can work with them, and this is not phony baloney, this is not some sort of a gimmick. This is find something to like and talk about something that's agreeable. Agreeable stuff, that's chit chat. You can talk about the current virus situation, but you can also talk about family, friends, food, shopping, well, we might not do much shopping except for groceries right now, but you can talk about a lot of common things that they're not, hard to figure out. You all know them. Some of you are probably really good at the social chit chat stuff. Some are not, but this has a place in a meeting of any sort. It's just the beginning. I'm just trying to warm it up. Good public speakers know this. You got to warm up the audience. Then you got to figure out where they are. What are they going to respond to as I go forward? And if I'm fast on my feet, if I learn some of this and I try it out, put it into place, see if it works, that's a tool. That's a tip for you guys to be able to start it. The next thing is you got to have a strategy. You got to figure out what should I do next. So I broke the ice. I talked to him. I got to have a succinct, hey, I'm calling you because I got to have my purpose in mind. And then I have to have my body of why am I talking to them? Can I ask a couple questions? That's key. Then hopefully I can do something about whatever the answers are to those questions. So I didn't want to take too much time, but those are just some tips. Those are some ideas for you guys. I'll look at the chat log. If anybody has any questions, feel free. I'm going to post a website, it's a Facebook group. We used to have it only for our clients. We opened it up to everybody. It's free. Just join and you'll see some of the different announcements and the networking that happens on a regular basis. And Demi knows he's going to be talking tomorrow morning at our 8 o'clock Eastern roundtable, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific time. So you can kind of check that out. He's got some cool things he's doing for volunteers and PTs.
And Tim, thank you. And what is very interesting, because actually some of our staff, they are calling people and calling doctors' offices. And what is interesting is that sometimes doctors, they're much more willing to talk to people right now. As a matter of fact, one of our staff was saying that the secretary gave the phone to the doctor and the doctor was talking to one of our front desk staff members, So there is a little bit more willingness now for even doctors to speak to therapists and speak even to staff of therapists. So,
and Dim, if you don't mind,
yeah.
Team, the telemedicine or telephysical therapy, it's all about communication. It is not about technique anymore. You don't have the luxury of being with a patient, touching them. It's all communication. You don't know how to communicate, you're going to fail as a therapist.
You got to be that much better because of the circumstance we're in now. Yeah, you're right.
Awesome. So, guys, actually, let me tell you that besides doing the relationship marketing with Survival, and actually Tim put also the link for the course the upcoming course that you have. We also work with the group of Neil Trickett, and we do a lot of things from our websites to some social media stuff, and also a lot of email marketing and print publication. So we wanted to give out the message to people that, hey, you know what? We are open. We are open and we are here to service you. So what we did, and actually I am going to see if I can open this. I'm going to show you right now, hopefully. All right, I opened the wrong one. This is the right one. Okay, let me share the screen. I'll show you just a very, very simple message that we just send out, a mailing, not only emailing, but also a mailing. Simple, not too many words. Hands-on physical therapy is open, okay? Let us help you manage your musculoskeletal patients. Hands-on physical therapy online in the safety of your patient's home. This goes to all doctors, okay? This is a creation of the practice promotions group, and they are sending all this out. So, so Neil, talk to us about how we can get really new patients with telehealth using the type of technologies that you are engaged with.
Yeah, thank you, Demi. Appreciate that. And it's been a very interesting time for marketing. I'm Neil Trickett. I'm owner of Practice Promotions. I'm actually a physical therapist, and I've had a practice for 8 years in South Florida, and I've had growing Practice Promotions here for over 9 years now, helping clinics all across the country and also in Canada. So it's a very difficult time for many practices, having to transition from all of a sudden being very hands-on with their patients and their marketing flowing in a certain way to having to pivot in an instant into something brand new for them, telehealth, very brand new for the patients too. And so how do you communicate these kind of different messages that you have these optional services now available for patients? So we've gone through a lot of learning and doing this with over 650 clinic locations across the U.S. It's been quite hectic, but a lot of fun in helping practices help more people, which is really our fundamental purpose. So I'll share a few things that we found to work for clinics as they're making this transition here, and some things for you to keep in mind as you're looking at, if you have telehealth in already or you're thinking about it. How do you go about getting new people in the door? How do you work with your current patients, your patient lists, and, you know, as Tim was saying, even building a physician relationships at this time. So I'll just share my screen here. All right, and we'll just jump into this. So we've made this transition here from going from this, where it's many clinics are still partially open, servicing people, or some have shut down and they're transitioned completely to telehealth. And so now we're gone to this model here, right, where we're having to interact and treat patients virtually, right? And I can tell you from being a physical therapist myself, I can't imagine having to do that transition. You know, it is definitely a different way of thinking, a different way of treating, and so it is a transition for everybody, right? It's just something to keep thinking about that. You know, right now our focus is on cope, right? We're coping with our business, right? We're coping with, you know, the loss of income, the loss of patients. How are we going to treat people differently? And so all these things that we're trying to do with that. But what is going to happen 6 to 8 weeks from now, right? As businesses are open, people are getting back to normal. What is your plan going to be with telehealth, right? You're going to be learning a lot of new things. You're going to be implementing a lot of new things now, but what you're going to do with this as your future? You can tell you right now, it's not a temporary thing. Telehealth has been taking off quite rapidly in the physician space. Insurance companies are pushing heavily behind that. And so what we found is that, you know, this crisis that we're going through right now is really the fuel on the fire of that telehealth change that was happening in healthcare to start off with. And now it's come to PT and therapy, and we're able to, you know, rapidly change the laws and payment structures. And there's always, like, you know, a lot of things that are happening right now on an hourly basis almost, where that's going to go, right? But we know that things are changing fast. People are going to want this moving forward. And so it's really looking at what is that future of PT going to look like? To me, and I was thinking about this even before this crisis happened, was that we're going to come up to a point where it's going to be a hybrid type of physical therapy treatment, right? There'll be a blend of in-office treatment and TelePT treatments. And it's quite exciting because we were starting to run up as a group, as a physical therapy group in practice because of high deductibles and copays where people were dropping off. You know, the drop off was a big problem. But now we have a solution that could be more convenient for them, could be a little bit cheaper. And so instead of losing that patient after 5 or 6 visits, we could actually continue their care on to get them fully rehabilitated, where we might see them at the beginning more in the office and then taper that off to do more home treatments. So something to keep in your mind for the future. This is going to help you generate longer plans of care, less drops, better outcomes for the patients, and also additional revenue options for your practice. I want you to start to think about, from a marketing perspective, that there are, as life starts to get back to normal and you're starting to see patients in the clinic, how are you going to incorporate this telehealth and the marketing part of it into additional subscription models for your clinic, right? How can you do checkups with patients? How can you have even a subscription service where you're providing a telehealth treatment for them with that? So some different things you can look at. Also, this can be a great marketing tool for you to check up with that patient, right, on a consistent basis. So that's going to help you with patient reactivations. Also, friends and family. Could you use this as a tool to, offer a discounted or even a free telehealth, visit with a friend or family member, right? So another option that you could look into there. One thing to understand as you're starting to implement this telehealth program into your clinic is that realize that patients don't understand how TelePT works. You have to teach them how this works. So if you just say, hey, we're offering telehealth now, they're going to be like, well, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty around that. They're going to basically say, well, I might just wait until you're open again, right? Or I'm kind of feeling much, like pretty good. I can do my home exercises at home. And that's not what we want to have, right? We want to make sure that they really get the full treatment that they need. And so one of the things here from a clinician standpoint, from a practice owner standpoint, is as you are starting to market this with your patients, is that you want them to, your therapists, right, to focus on the method, right, to focus on the patient's outcome, and really about how the plan of care is what gets them the results. So some mistakes I'm seeing happen is that there's this advertising, hey, we're doing telehealth PT now, right? And then that's going to be the magical solution. To the patient, they don't understand it. So they don't understand the why behind it of what you're trying to do here. The why behind it is that we're trying to help you get stronger, get your joints moving better, get your functional movement better, and relieve your pain, and continue through this whole process so that you don't have this problem come back again in the future. That's the focus of the message that should be done. Just like when you're in the clinic, when you are treating when you're evaluating a patient and you're going to tell them about your plan of care, about the treatment that's coming up, you don't say, hey, I'm going to treat you with Mackenzie and Maitland, and they're going, what? Right? In their head, right? You're telling them, hey, we're going to get your shoulder moving better first. We're going to get your shoulder stronger. And then this way, you're not going to have this problem come back in the future. We put together here some critical steps for you to think about as you're marketing telehealth here for PT. And so we'll go over this, and I'll share at the end to you how you can get this from our blog. And we'll dive a little deeper into this. First off is helping your clinic prepare for signups. So the goal here is to have a very clear message of what you have available and what you're going to be able to offer them. And so you need to be able to obviously update your website. So we've worked with many clinics in a very fast period of time to offer telehealth landing pages on their website, new forms, you name it, pop-ups. So we've been able to help our clients pivot as they put this into their clinic. So updating your website is really important. And then creating a landing page explaining how those sessions will work and how you can capture their information when they want to do stuff. Also, updating appointment forms, contact forms, other contact methods with TelePT options is really, really important with that. And then finally here, make sure that you update your Google My Business with this new service. You might even be able to put it in a new category. So as people search for, physical therapy in their area, or even searching the name of your clinic, your Google My Business will pop up in that search. And then you could have the telehealth option in there. Sometimes you can even have it so that you could book a telehealth appointment right through the Google My Business. So make sure that that gets updated. And if you're a multi-location clinic, that it gets updated for all of your locations, not just, you know, your primary locations. So next off is obviously getting your signups there, but then we have to look at what's happening with your current patients. So you might be transitioning patients that are still coming into the clinic to be able to continue to help them with telehealth PT, and also looking at your past you know, patient list. How can you get those people to come in that would normally have come back as a reactivation? So first off is training your front desk, right? Making sure that they know what to explain and say so that they can give confidence to that patient in what they need to you know, get out of this experience. And so you want to create an exact plan of scripts for the front desk on how to convert a patient to telehealth. There's some good groups out there that are doing this, and you can certainly get those from them. But the goal is basically make sure that you don't just send your front desk off to the wolves unarmed, right? You got to give them the scripts and the sales techniques in order to be able to clearly explain to the current patient or the new patient coming in what you're able to offer them. And so the goal here is to focus on really that benefit and that simple process, give them like process and the outcome of that TelePT visit to the new patient. So basically, you know, when they maybe answer the phone, you could say, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, yes, we're going to look forward to helping you here. Your therapist is going to do, you know, evaluation of your movement. They're going to talk to you about your problem, your symptoms. They're going to see how you're able to move that particular body part. They're going to show you some things that you can do at home, or even your spouse can be helping you through this, and we'll work through a plan of care." So they give them a simple process through that of what to expect out of that telehealth appointment. All right, and then you need to be able to arm your front desk with materials. So do you have handouts that they could email out, or even if there's someone there physically they could give out? Do you have emails already prepared for them to easily send? Do you have links to your landing pages for the people to book an appointment or get more information? And so how do you help them close the patient on the benefits of doing your physical therapy with this great option that you have to continue seeing them with TelePT? So that's helping your front desk. Now we're going to make sure that your therapists know how to market this, right? Patients are likely hesitant, mostly because they don't know the process. Like, how is this going to work? So it's up to your therapist to help, you know, especially the current patients that they may have seen, or people that they've seen in the past that they know well that want to come back in, and now you're not seeing them in the clinic, but you can do this telehealth option. The therapist has got to be able to explain that process, right? And the goal here is to train the therapist to sell the outcome, not the method, as I was explaining before, right? Make sure that they're really clear on that. We're just going to keep focused on what's this patient going to get out of it? How am I going to help them? What are they going to learn? And not that, hey, we're going to treat you through TelePT. For your therapist, I was talking with some great therapists who do really well with implementing TelePT here. They've created a standard process of delivery with their therapist. So the head therapist got together, they mapped it out with the other PTs, like, here's how we're going to deliver a standard physical therapy treatment. You know, and of course there's going to be nuances to how you treat, but if it's, okay, we always do this in the evaluation on TelePT treatment, we always look for these kinds of movements, right? We then do, you know, objective movement tests, right? And so you can kind of work this process for delivery. So it's the therapists feel confident doing this. Just realize that your therapists have probably never done this before. And it's, again, can be terrifying to now treat a patient through a computer screen that you've never done this type of thing before, right? And they're thinking in their head, am I going to fail at this? Am I, patient's going to hate me? You know, they probably having all these crazy ideas in their head. So you need to be able to arm your therapist with confidence with a standard process so that they feel confident in delivering it, the whole treatment with success. The other thing that I heard great feedback on from some of these therapists was that they were doing a daily huddle with their therapists. So they would get feedback from telehealth visits that they're currently doing, loop that back in so everybody could hear, they could come up with, hey, if I got this kind of objection, how do I handle this? or this kind of problem, how do we handle this? And they got better and better and better because they have this loop going on for feedback and training. Again, just realize it's brand new for everybody. You got to be able to get in there and make sure that it's run smoothly. Now you got to be able to promote it. So you have the operational part of it working and the kind of the internal promotions, but what are you sending out to promote it? And so here you want to work with definitely emailing it out to your current patients, to your past patient list, use your customer list to your advantage. Let them know that you're open, right? Let them know that you're still servicing. That's a problem that I see, is that people are not maybe doing enough of that. And there's a lot of uncertainty around it. So if you can let them know, hey, we're open, and guess what we're doing? We're able to do it this way now, which is cutting edge. Prepare handouts and signs for the clinic for sure. Notify your referring physicians, calls, emails, letters. Use the advice that Tim just gave us there on how to build relationships with your doctors, but let them know that you now have this really cool service where you're able to help their patients out virtually. And then I'm sure Carl will speak to this here in a minute, but using social media, repost like crazy. Now's the time to really blast out a bunch of stuff. We work a lot with Carl and Chad at Breakthrough. They do amazing stuff with workshops, and I know there's some of their clients and our mutual clients that are running like virtual workshops. So there's a lot of cool things that you can use right now with social media to get the word out, especially now that you're able to provide this additional service. Another example that you could do here is to record a sample call with your staff, right? With your therapist, maybe have you as a pretend patient, or have a pretend patient, and kind of show what it's like to experience a telehealth visit, right? So again, it's very unknown to patients. You have to show what this is going to look like. So you could record just a short sample call, what to expect when you go through this. And that's a great thing that you could send out to your current and past patient list, even to your physicians. And then here is, once you got those other things dialed in, definitely as you got your website sign up handled, then you could start to look at Facebook, Google ads to drive those patients into TelePT, right? You don't want to go right into Facebook or Google ads without having this other stuff set up first, because then you're going to spend a lot of money without getting much return conversions there. So you get that in place, and then the Facebook and Google ads will work much better. And then finally, being able to scale that up. So as you get good at leveraging TelePT, it can really become a great tool for boosting revenue, as we talked about before. And definitely want to include a way to gather feedback from patients on the process of how they're getting out of it. So make sure you got a way to get testimonials. Make sure you have a method for generating Google reviews from that. And then make a plan to generate referrals from those telehealth patients about friends and family. So again, this is a way that you could possibly use free telehealth PT consults that maybe are 10, 15 minutes long to have a chat with someone who's interested and has a problem. It's a great way that can be a very low cost way to get people in it. If you want to get more details on what we talked about here today and the download PDF of the 5 steps here, you can just go right to practicepromotions.net, right on our blog, physical-therapy-blog. You can also get through it through our website. And we've got this blog post here on how to market PT for telehealth there.
Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome.
And I have asked all 3 presenters to get us also the PowerPoint presentations, and we'll put them all in a PDF with all the links that you guys have, and we're gonna email it to all of you guys who are attending this tonight. Also, I just want to mention that we have in this presentation tonight, in this webinar, not only people from Alaska all the way down to Florida, but we have people who are attending internationally from Brazil. We have people from Italy. We have people from Greece, some good friends from Greece. Καλό Pascha, I just said Happy Easter to them. So thank you guys, because we know that it's in the middle of the night there. But all of these, the representatives of these companies, Survival, Practice Promotions, and Breakthrough, they cater services or part of their services at an international level, and you are more than welcome to contact them. also. So in addition to the relationship marketing stuff that Kostas and I have put in our practice, in addition to the websites, the blogs, all the postcards, and the social media stuff that Practice Promotions have brought to us, we have been working also very closely with Carl and Chad and the Breakthrough company, specifically on the Product X platform, which has been very successful for us. And right now, they have specific modifications on that platform that are totally applicable for what is happening right now for the COVID-19 environment. And if you want to hear things from a genius in the area of social media, well, that is Carl Matiola. So Carl, just explain to the people, just in case they can understand better than I have understood, the whole technology behind what you guys are doing.
Thanks for the introduction, man. And yeah, just thanks for, seriously, for putting these webinars on. They're amazing for the whole private practice community. Everybody needs to stick together right now. It's a tough time, seriously, and I'll do my best to describe everything as quick as I can here. I appreciate everybody who's on here as well, because this is a tough time to be a leader. I said this on the last webinar. You guys are on here during crisis, leading your communities, leading your practices, leading your patients through their challenges, your teams, your families. It's a tough time, and you're required to step up, and you're doing that, and even more so, you have to have an open mind. Stuff that I believed 2 weeks ago completely changed my mind on, and that doesn't happen that fast very often. So just saying, the ground's moving beneath our feet, and I appreciate everyone who's on this call, because you guys are here looking at the future, and that's the way, like, while you're going through this tough time, that's the thing that you need to be focused on. The hardest thing is to focus on what's next. But you guys are all here doing that clearly, because we're on to talk about a topic that is telehealth. My name's Carl. I'm the CEO at Breakthrough. I am not a PT. I ran marketing for Tesla Motors, and had a good experience with physical therapy and wanted to do something that was more meaningful with my life. So I started this business alongside a guy named Chad Madden, who runs a practice. We have trained thousands of practice owners in mostly marketing and digital marketing. And we have a software solution that helps, that we call the end-to-end business growth system for private practices. That's what Jimmy's talking about. It's called, it was renamed Growth X recently, so hard to remember there. Anyway, I'm gonna dive in and just get into it and try. And Tim and Neil set me up perfect here. Neil always sets me up perfect. It's like, we're like, without even knowing it, it's like perfect. So we'll get right into it. So I'm gonna get pretty tactical, but I'm gonna start high level. Let me just put this on present here. So I'm gonna talk to you about how you can crush your marketing during the COVID crisis. I know it's a challenging time. This is something that I've been, like, I keep going back to this image because I went right through it. Yeah, like, we were like, everything's cool, then wait a minute, this is gonna be fine, to shut it all off, to, okay, I can see the other end, and we're kind of in this together. I know a lot of people on this call are in different states and in different situations. Some of you have your doors closed. I know, I mean, Jimmy and Kostas, you're in the middle of it all and still operating and functioning, which is amazing. And it's like an amazing thing for everybody to be looking up to. But let me start with the principles here. some of the principles we believe in during this situation, during the crisis of breakthrough. Number one, you need to survive the short term, but we have to rebound as fast as possible, right? Have to. It's going to suck for a while. You want to get the most out of the situation you can right now. Not everybody's going to be willing to come in. You're not going to get your full, like, or maybe in a unicorn situation where you get everybody you want to come in. Most likely that's not going to happen, but that doesn't mean you can't try your best, which everybody here is doing, and plan for the upswing. Like, keep yourself out there and in front of your patients, like Neil talked about. Have conversations, like Tim talked about, and focus on what you can control. And that was the big thing from the last webinar. I mean, you can't worry so much about the things you can't control, but you have to focus on what you can control. And the last thing is to have a plan. And with marketing, especially marketing for telehealth, depending on your practice situation, you know, we can create a great plan. And, you know, our coaches that we have here working with our clients on GrowthX are creating plans for several different situations. Here are some of the situations I've been running into, like as I'm jumping on calls with different clients. Some of them close their doors and completely shrivel up and decide to do nothing, lay off their whole staff and go into hibernation mode. Mistake, right? If you shed everything on the other end, you're going to be left with nothing. And there will be a beginning and an end to this, right? There will be. Things might change, but you don't want to lose everything you've worked so hard to build. So, but you may be closed. There are still things you can do. You can be closed and open to telehealth. Obviously, all of you on here are. There's people who are partial that are doing emergency visits in telehealth. And frankly, I am seeing practices in certain places that are open with a little bit lower volume, but nonetheless hardly affected. Just putting that out there. There are some in that situation. If you're on this webinar, that's probably not you because you're seriously considering the telehealth option. Sorry, I've got to get this whole thing to build out. I didn't do such a good job with that. So, all right, we need to think about the path that's right for you in terms of what's best for your practice right now. This is what a marketing funnel looks like for physical therapy. You have leads or patient opportunities. This is people in the community who might be considering becoming a patient. You're going to have some method of conversion, right? This could be a workshop. It could be a referral from a doctor. There's going to be an assessment method. This could be an in-person screen or visit. It could be virtual now is what we're talking about. And that's what we're driving most things to today. And this is going to make more sense in a second. And because there's practices in different situations, we've enabled it so that, like, whatever kind of marketing you're driving through, you can be completely virtual. Like, the practice could be completely virtual, in which case they do a virtual screen or go straight to an online eval and to a plan of care. There can be a hybrid where you can have that conversation where there's a virtual screen or a conversation around, hey, do you want in person or do you want online? Or again, there's some people who are still completely in person. So what we've designed is really today fits anything, but you need to know where you are so that you know what works best for you. Cool. Now we're going to get into some of the tactical stuff. So we want to create a marketing plan. And as I said, Neil set me up perfect here. First thing you need to do is focus on giving as much value as you can to stay in touch with your patients. Our purpose at Breakthrough is to help people in pain get back to normal naturally. And we do that by partnering with physical therapy private practice owners all over the world. We believe physical therapy can and should come before invasive alternatives like people taking pain medication or getting unnecessary surgery. And you know, we're focused on helping you grow your business and grow your how well you're known in the community and how much you're standing out in the community through the tools that we provide. During this time, the best thing you can be doing is staying in touch with your patients, right? And so you want to give as much value as you can, because even if you're not seeing them right now, Some of them will be willing to come in and see you, and some of them won't. But you need to have that conversation in order to figure that out. So you have to pay attention to that. And so for us, it's number one, give as much value as you can and stay in touch with your patients. You need to focus on revenue, right? For your practice as well. Revenue is very important to keep you afloat. This isn't the right webinar to talk about finances. We have some more I can talk about later, but again, not everybody's going to be open to the options you have, but some will, and that's great. And you should take advantage of them. Those who are not open to it, they're going to be open to it at some point when they have to come back in, and they will remember you if you contact them now. So you need to create a plan for your past and present patients, and that has to be the first plan, just like Neil said, because it's the low-hanging fruit. It's the easy part, and it's the easier thing for you to take advantage of. And frankly, you owe it to them because they've been a customer of yours. You owe it to your community as well. So you're going to be marketing, and the harder part is new patients who don't know you yet. But if you still want to pay attention to that as well, so things don't shrivel up and die, right? You need to keep the engine going. You can slow it down if you need to, but you at least need to keep it going. So now let's talk about some tactics. In terms of low-hanging fruit, past patient campaigns, here's some of the things we've developed and we're executing for our clients that are working super well. One-on-one messaging to past and present patients are things that we're encouraging, and we've just launched a two-way text messaging feature within GrowthX, and we're testing out campaigns that are initiating conversations by asking questions, and it's working like crazy. So it goes out and it generates 300 conversations that can happen in one spot. For you, if you don't have this, it's no problem. It's worth taking the time to reach out to each and every person on your list, frankly, if you have the time. It really is, to check in and just see, hey, all right, what are you experiencing during this time? Is there anything I can do to help you? Maybe it'll turn into something, maybe it won't. Another campaign that we're running and seeing success with is a telehealth GPE. So a GPE is what we call the greatest promotion ever. This is essentially typically done as an in-person, in the practice day of free screens. And we offer that, you know, our clients will run this campaign, send it out to their list and say, basically in celebration of some event, like whatever it is, we're having a day of free screens for our past and present patients to help them take care of things. In this case, it's, we know you're having a hard time. You may be experiencing pain at home. We're running this day of virtual free screens. So they're virtual free screens that can be run over Zoom or over the phone or whatever platform you choose. And you can use them to convert direct into either telehealth visits or into in-person visits, if that's what you're still doing. And lastly, we're encouraging putting out lots of different types of goodwill. This is an example of one. I mean, this is literally just rolled out this week. We sent one within our platform campaign out, and it generated, I think in 2 hours, 300 responses, and I had to cover up names obviously and stuff, but you get the idea. Just to initiate conversations, and that's the stuff you want to be doing. Cool, now I'm gonna get into advertising. So this is the next step. It's like, okay, now we're talking about the outward facing. So there's a couple things we've shifted to. So we're known for in-person workshops, and I think that that's still going to be a thing. However, in order to serve our clients and help people in pain get back to normal naturally in your area, we've adjusted a few things. So we're doing what's called direct to discovery call advertising. This is what some of these things look like. Add maybe something like this on Facebook where people can come in and have a free discovery call. It leads to a page where they can book that session, and then you can hold a virtual free screen and have a conversation about what you want to do with that person and what they're comfortable with at that point. Does that make sense? So we're running advertising for a basic a call where you can have a conversation about the challenges the person's having, and then yeah, you can convert them from there. We're also doing some other new things. So we're running virtual workshops now. And I know we're going to be doing this with Jimmy and Costa soon. You guys are just hearing this for the first time. Chad's running one. We got 80 registrations in 2 days. So this is like, people are out there, they're still in pain at home, wanting to manage it at home. You run these things and you run them on the right topic, you get in front of them, and you're going to have people you can communicate with. The goal here, generate more virtual free screens. And then again, for Chad, he's gonna, his plan is, his practice is still open, so he's going to be, whatever's more comfortable for the patient. Do they want to do telehealth or do they want to come in? Some other things that we're doing, and this is just an aside, we're running advertising to free reports on like the COVID-19 guide for patients, just to keep engagement and keep the lights on, and build a big list, right? And we're also, for the states that are open to it, which we have several clients, not surprisingly up in, you know, the Dakotas and Nebraska, where they're social distancing all times of the year. They're still running workshops because it works for them and it's okay, you know, and they don't have those challenges. So that's all I've got. I'm happy to take questions. I would have gotten more specific. I put this together as fast as I can. I've got free resources for you. So we put together a group to help physical therapy practice owners survive this and stand up and get through it. There's, in the last couple of weeks, over 1,500 practice owners have joined. You can go join there for free at covidptgroup.com. People are talking about the CARES Act, financial planning, how to rebound and get out of it, telehealth, all these things. So there's lots of videos and stuff. It's 100% free. You can go join that at covidptgroup.com and learn more about the stuff I'm talking about. The last thing here is we are hosting a free virtual summit. Demi will be there speaking, by the way. I think you're talking on the 7 ways to rebuild after crisis. Some of the other topics, the latest in physical therapy, telehealth, finance and cash planning, SBA loans, really wanting to help you get up and survive. This has happened towards the end of April, and plan for that rebound. Chris Redding from USPH will be there. Mary DeLong will be there. A lot of us will be there, and there's still more and more speakers. You can, and I'm sure we'll send the link out, but if you go to breakthroughptmarketing.com/virtual summit, you can get that. And that's all I've got. Hopefully that was useful. I'm happy to take any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Carl. Thank you. That's awesome. And it's so amazing that the 3 different approaches that we discussed about tonight, they can all work in tremendous synergy, and people can implement everything for the best outcome. And as you guys typing the questions that you have for the panel, I very quickly would like to take this opportunity to show you guys an initiative that we started recently. This is nothing to benefit specifically one company. Yes, it is an initiative of hands-on diagnostics. And yes, Kostas and I and Craig, we will take credit for it, and thank you for the credit that you are giving us, or the credit that we rightfully take by ourselves. However, this is not about HUDs. This is about creating a campaign to really help the healthcare providers out there who are in the front lines, helping people in the emergency rooms around the country, and also really further elevating the physical therapy profession. So we have practices who are joining this. All you have to do is go to ptheroes.com, join this. We put direct links to your website. And then what happens is that people healthcare providers who would like to take advantage of a free telehealth session from you, they'll go here, they'll plug their name and their zip code, and once they do that, they are receiving a list of all the practices in a specific state that are participating in the program. In addition to that, our marketing team will send you information on how you can promote this site and this service in your local communities. And definitely, I will open it up to the three panelists here tonight, to Tim, to Neil, and to Carl. If you guys can help to put the word out for this, we would love to include as co-sponsors of this, all three companies, Survival and Practice Promotions and Breakthrough. And let's try to get the message out and create a great PR campaign for this. The second thing I want to show you guys is that if you are looking for a training on just how to do telehealth in an immediate basis, Hands-On Seminars has put a course for you. You can go to handsonseminars.com. And yes, we do have a financial interest on this course, okay? But it's a good course. TelePT for me is a site where you can get information about a platform for TelePT services, which we are using. And I'm gonna show you just a quick sample of what we have done with our website. This is our website, okay? So we're introducing hands-on online virtual treatment in the comfort of your home. And what we have done here, I'm looking for request an in-office visit or request a TelePT appointment or pay my bill. We have put now on our website where patients can pay right away their bill, or they can pay for an initial evaluation visit, an e-visit, or they can buy a package of telehealth visits. And right through the website, they can actually request and book a telehealth appointment. And once they do that, they will get, my computer is slow because I'm on Zoom right now, it doesn't matter. But once they do that, they get also a text for their confirmed appointment and a reminder via text 5 minutes before their actual appointment, because we want to make sure that we control cancellations and no-shows for those TelePT appointments. All right, let's see. Any questions that anyone has? Okay, there is a question. Are there any strategies for getting telehealth up and running in a small rural setting where most advertisement is mostly through word of mouth? And since we're currently on quarantine and social interactions are limited, it is more challenging for a small private practice that cannot afford fancy websites, media presence. What would you suggest as an alternative to building this? So, and this is open to all panelists to answer, but I will tell you that actually, guys, promotion and marketing does not have to be very expensive. Yes, you will spend some money for it, but it doesn't have to be terribly expensive. So you guys go ahead and start speaking about that.
Let me give you my point from a PT point of view as a physical therapist, and going through all this phase of having an awesome practice with 30 new patients in 1 hour of offices, and then going to nothing, like a week or two with 0 new patients. That was really a very awful experience, and I know all of us can share the similar experiences. But the interesting part was that a realization that we had, patients, they don't understand telemedicine as it's been expressed already by Neil mostly. So what happens is that they cannot take the initiative of reaching out for their health. They don't know how to go about it. So the best thing to do right now is to go and find out and reach the doctors, your referral source base, and tell them that you can do that. So the doctors can really make the patient come to you. So this is, although for the past, I don't know how many years, I've been working to move away as a practice from MD referral sources. Now I find myself going back to it because I think it's extremely important to utilize your MD referral sources to communicate the message to the patients that you can do telemedicine.
Yeah, I think that's great advice from Kostas there. As much as you can, collaborate with doctors. I would say, especially in such a rural area where everybody knows each other and you have great word of mouth marketing, that's been the way that you really run your practice. Now's the time, as Carl was saying, pick up the phone, call all your patients, get all your therapists. Like if you've been in there for years, get the list of all your patients there, divvy it up between your staff. You can call from home, check in. Hey, how's it going? How you feeling? Do you need any updates to your home exercise program? This is something we did on a regular basis in our practice anyway, but in this time, I would do it like, go through everybody. So that's a really fast way to connect and also let the people know as you get into a conversation and they are saying, yes, my back started hurting again, or, my knee swelled up. Hey, do you know that we can actually help you treat that through telehealth, through your computer, right? Or through your phone. So they're not aware that you have this ability or that you're open, or maybe you are open and they could come in, whatever it may be. But that's your fastest way to get people treated and moving in your clinic, is just start really calling past patients, emails, letters, all that. Just work your list as much as you can right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. And it's texts, emails, calls, physical letters. Remember letter writing? That's like an old hat thing. I know I look old, but believe it or not, people still write letters. Any one of those personal communications. I mean, people love texting now more than ever, more than phone calls. Everybody gets their voicemails, all that sort of thing. But yeah, Neil's right. Get them on the phone, talk to them, find out how they're doing. I mean, how are they doing just in general? And then you can move to the specific problem they might have had, a back pain or sore shoulder or whatever it happens to be. But you can definitely create a relatively simple piece, get Neil's help on some artwork and some things, literally an email that you could send out right away. It's not going to cost you much, but the communication is huge right now, more than ever. With your staff, if they're not around, you may only have a couple people for you working with you, fine. But definitely to your doctors, we're open. Demi made that point at the top. It's like, you got to get that message out there, and then you got to find out how they're doing.
And Carl, you want to add something to that, to this question?
Sure. I mean, the messaging is the key. And there's easy ways, cheap ways to initiate conversations with many people at once. So you probably have I forget who asked this, but whoever this is, you probably have some sort of email marketing software. Eileen, it was, right? Or was it Mona? I can't remember which one I'm trying to follow, but in any case, you probably have some sort of email marketing software. If you don't have one, you can get one. There's MailChimp, there's a million different things out there today. Campaign Monitor's one I like. They're cheap, right? It's like $20 a month. They all have free trials. Get as many people in that you can into an email and send this out. A single question that just says, hey, just wanted to check in with you to see how you're feeling during this time. I'd love a response and I'd love to connect with you and help if there's any way I can. Kindly reply and let me know. That's all you need to send. I promise if you send something like that, email that out, you're going to get lots of responses, and it will start the conversation for you. And it's not fancy or expensive. It's pretty easy. You can also get your staff and your friends to put that message on Facebook and share it, like post it on your Facebook business page, and have all of your staff and friends and family and influencer patients, the patients who are like the queen soccer moms that know everybody, ask them to share it, right? And they will, and more people will comment on it. And then, honestly, it takes work. You just need to have these conversations. It's a lot of text messaging. It's a lot of conversations on the phone, and that will get things going for you. That's the easiest and cheapest way.
And Carl, you mentioned all that stuff is great. And, you know, when you think about it, every practice has accumulated people that they've worked with over time. How much do you actually communicate with those people? So whether you have their email addresses or not, you have some kind of contact information. Get the list out, start working it. I mean, you know, Carl, you mentioned work, and I go, that's what I think of. It's like, how many calls are you going to get done tomorrow? How many texts are you going to get done? You know, that kind of thing.
And you know something, I hate to say that this way because I don't want to sound that I am kind of mean, but whatever, I'll say it. You guys, we got to get used to it. The world will be a little different right now. We have to adapt to some changes, and those can be really great changes and great opportunities, okay? It doesn't have to be the end of the world. And you know that all this is temporary, and those of you that will embrace some changes and will make, right now, you'll make the decision to really look at this whole, at the future of physical therapy with a different vision for your practice and for the profession, you are going to be the ones who are going to go ahead. And let me show you something, okay? Let's talk about some data here. So I'm going to share with you a nationwide survey that we did. Look at this. On this survey, 79% of the practices are open. The sample size, 77 practices. That's fine. It's not huge. It's not 700 practices, but 77 practices, it's 77. I have another survey that has another 40-something practices amongst the HUDS group, but I kept those surveys separately. So there are people who are still open, and that's great because that provides an opportunity to do in-office visits also, okay? Now, what percentage of your patients are still coming to your office? The numbers have decreased. That's obvious. You know, 52% of you are saying that they are seeing only 30% or less of the visits that they used to see before. Okay, that's understandable, but we gotta work about this and make some changes here. But look at this, guys. Only half of you are doing telehealth. No, 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 no. If you wanna survive, you have to get into telehealth. The International Franchise Association put out an announcement that they are expecting that 20% of the restaurants in the United States are going to shut down their doors. So the question is, what percentage of physical therapists will shut down their doors permanently, okay? So we gotta think here about the future and implement strategies that will guarantee us a better future. What percentage of your daily visits are in telehealth? 50% of the people, 0. We have 40% of the people, about 1 to 20%. But look at this, there are some practices here. There are about 6.5% of practices that they are doing more than 61% of their patients on telehealth. We are right here. We are between 21 to 40%. So 40% of our visits right now, the visits that arrive weekly, they are on telehealth. I had something about new patients, but let me show you something else also, which is important. Which is this. We asked you, in regards to promotion, what is your plan right now? And brilliantly, 44% of the people are going to increase promotion and another 34%, they're going to keep the promotion the same, which is fine. It is only 21% of the people surveyed that they said they will decrease their promotion, which is actually the wrong thing to do right now. And again, I'm not necessarily saying for you to spend more actual money into promotion, but you can distribute your money to things that will work, or you can be smarter in your promotional activities. So that's what I'm talking about. And I think this data is pretty good. We have only another 9 minutes, because in 9 minutes, the HUD's weekly clinical roundtables will be starting. The clinical rounds will be starting. So we have another 9 minutes. All right, let's see. What other questions here? TelePT assumes the patient is able to Zoom and has access to technology. Who has done this today with a patient among the panelists? I mean, we are doing it. We are doing telehealth. Costas is doing telehealth.
Most of my clients are doing it.
Yeah,
So whether they have Zoom or not, yeah, a lot of people have smartphones. It's amazing. Yeah, they don't have to have, you know, sophisticated equipment, that sort of thing. But, and there's lots of platforms out there that obviously you can use to do this.
Yes. Okay, so do you reshape the cost of the online treatment as compared to the usual practice fee? Also, do you reshape the cost of the in-house treatment cost due to the economical shock at the moment? Actually, Costas and I have reached out to practice promotions that are designing our website, and we asked them to change our cash-based telehealth visit to $50 instead of $75. They just need to update our site. And that is for a half-hour session. We schedule patients 2 per hour. Costa, any comment?
No, the only comment before we finish is that I feel that we're very lucky that we're working with all of you gentlemen. Team Mantis, of course, for years and years and years, and you, Neil, and you, Carl, we've been together for so long, and really, without you, we will be lost. Everybody right now, it's in that confusion, you know, kind of mode, and everybody tries to handle change, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And I'm talking from experience. I was in the office today from 8 until 5 o'clock, and it is a lot. Although you have very few clients, it's so many things happening at the same time. So as Carl said, you know, you gotta focus on what you can control, and Carl, Neil, and team, they are there with their technologies to help us do that. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you guys. I love everything I hear. You know, it's a funny thing, but I get so much from listening to people like Demi and Kostas, Neil and Carl, because I've been at this for a long time, and everybody I think could you know use a little help these days, and it's fabulous. The basics, you know, from talking to hundreds of people the last 10 days, I'm like, you know what? The basics have to be reintroduced, have to be reinforced on every single practice that is trying to get through this time and trying to come out on the better side of this. So we started doing a one-day workshop. I'm doing it with a physical therapist, Demi and Kostas know him very well, Paul Stadlowski. On Saturday, we did it last Saturday. People were, you know, beside themselves. We've never done it before because it's super cheap. We work hand in hand with people, but it's $199. Go to our website, check it out. But I got to tell you, it's concentrations on the basics. If you know what those things are, and they're not a lot, there's a few things right now you can do tomorrow, the next day. These guys are talking about it. We're going to get into that in deep detail. It's an 8-hour-long workshop. So if you're interested, you know, call me. I put my contact stuff up there. But Demi, Kostas, Neil, Carl, I really appreciate what you guys do, and
Awesome.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Tim. Neil, final words from you.
Final words, I would just say thank you guys for just being so in the physical therapy community here. One thing I love is just in times of adversity like this, how how closely knit our industry and our community really is, and everybody really, you know, we're all about just helping people. That's what we do in physical therapy, and it really shows here as we're trying to come together to help each other out. And one of the things I've definitely learned throughout the years of being in business, both in physical therapy and in marketing, is that you need consultants. You need people to help you. You do not know it all. You will not ever know it all. And so as you go in business, you have multiple consultants that you work with for how to run your business, how to do telehealth, how to market. And so now's your time to lean on those consultants or reach out to them if you've never done that before, because there's a lot of people that have great experience and great knowledge to help you get through this time and flourish and prosper on the way on the other side.
Thank you, Neil. Carl, final words.
Awesome. Yeah, there's not much to add to that. We need to be together now and tighter as a community so that we can survive and come out, you know, can we be audacious enough to say stronger on the other side? I think we can. I think every business, if you're not looking hard at the things like crisis like this makes you look at things that you forgot to do, you should have been doing, definitely happened to me, right? Like, are we not having enough conversations with our patients? Probably none of us are, and we're realizing that now. We have to put that back in place. You know, we're spending money on things we shouldn't be, and we can reallocate that to things we should be. So yeah, thank you guys all for being here, for having an open mind, and for looking forward rather than clinching up and just being scared. Appreciate you guys all.
Thank you. That's awesome. So on behalf of Costas, myself, the Hands-On Companies, thank you all for participating. For our webinars on the billing of telehealth, go to savephysicaltherapy.com and you'll get to register for the next upcoming webinars, as well as our daily town hall that we're hosting at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all, guys. What can I say? It's been an amazing community supporting each other. We'll get through this. Okay? All right.
Thank you, Demi.
Thanks.
Ciao, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Guys.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks, Costas.
Thank you, team.